no. They're not going to get any more money.
Thank you.
They've caused the mayhem. Have you been around? Have you seen the tent cities?
I lived in this very neighborhood for 8 years.
Have you seen the tent cities? I'm asking you a question.
I started talking about experts 4 years ago in 2020. It was one of my first videos. The media likes to grab on to these so-called experts. The experts say, the experts say, the experts say. That's what they do. They'll grab on to homeless people and call them experts. Swear to God, they will. Expert in being homeless. So Poilievre gets this question. He makes the reporter look ridiculous. And I love it. Because that's what they need. That's what the media has been doing forever. They take these so-called phony experts and they make you believe something that's true that isn't true. That is false. It's fake. It's phony.
Thank you.
Thank you. This will be the final question.
And it's always on the last question. Have you noticed this? When Poilievre gets into it with a reporter, it's always the last question.
Scott Cortese is with the London Area Community Health Center, just located over here. During the police announcement, which I know your party's very familiar with, said that he wants a little time to come up with better protocols, better options, better avenues. Is there any compromise here? You've drawn quite a line this morning, but is there any compromise opportunity where you could work with some of these folks, come up with a modified plan, or is there strictly one option here in your mind?
Are you talking, on
Nobody
what
knows
subject?
what you're
Are we
talking
talking now
about.
drugs or crime?
I'm talking safe supplies.
Safe supply.
Well, again, how can you possibly report on the story when you're already using government propaganda? It's not safe.
Media propaganda.
Yes, that's the problem. You're using the term they're using. How can you? So you've decided. You've already made up your mind. You're going to report their statements as though they're true. Well, why are you using their language?
Yeah, that's the language being used in various news conferences and other policies.
Oh, yes, there are, of
So,
course. So
various.
you're just being force-fed talking points by the authorities who caused the problem in the first place. This is exactly the problem. This is exactly the problem. It's exactly the problem.
The London Police using the same terminology.
How's it working?
So I'm just asking you to answer the question of whether or not there's any room to work with these other
No, he's
agencies
trying to
or not,
educate
and
you, though.
Whether you're going to stick
listen.
to your proposals, which are your proposals.
He's
That's all I'm
changing the
asking.
media. I'm telling you that right
My
now.
proposal is recovery and treatment. Am I going to give more money to these agencies that have caused the crisis? No. They're not going to get any more money.
Thank you.
They've caused the mayhem. Have you been around? Have you seen the tent cities?
I lived in this very neighborhood for 8 years.
Have you
So
seen the
you've
tent
seen it?
cities?
And?
Okay, and you think that these agencies are doing a good job?
Is it working?
I think there's, sir, it's not my job to debate a federal leader on this issue, sir, but I will say that
I'm asking you a question. Are you think they're doing a good job when you go to see the tent cities that are popping up everywhere in the country?
The community is doing the best job.
I agree with you on that, the community, but the agencies are different than the community. And again, you're repeating their talking points. I mean, there was a time when reporters believed their job was to hold government accountable, not regurgitate their talking points. And that's what you're doing when you say safe supply. It's heroin-grade opioids that they want to give out.
Just say heroin.
And it is being diverted to kids. It's not safe. Since this policy was enacted, we have seen overdose rates more than double across Canada. And where these policies have been most enthusiastically embraced, like British Columbia, it's 400%. I don't understand how the media goes to the same agencies and public health bureaucrats who helped cause the crisis and calls them the experts, when in fact the results of their policies are plain for all eyes to see. There's 256 homeless encampments in Toronto now. 50 of them have opened up in 3 months alone. We saw in BC, the public health authority there wants to make drugs available in corner stores.
Why not?
Everywhere.
Why
They
wouldn't
want
you?
to have something called compassion clubs where the government would give drugs out for people, to drug distributors who would wander around giving them out freely to anybody who wants them.
Got to get rid of the stigma.
This is why we're in the mess. We need a drastic departure from the nightmare that the radical, wacko, NDP liberal agenda has caused in our streets. We need to lock up hardened criminals, We need treatment and recovery. We need to ban hard drugs.
We need to apprehend them, put them in institutions, and make them better again. And I love how he brings up experts, these so-called experts that the media loves to grab onto. One of my first videos I did 4 years ago, I talked about experts. And I can't remember, it was Global, CTV, but they brought an expert on. And you know what I found out? He was a failed police officer, 2 years experience, and they kept on bringing this guy on. They no longer bring him on because of my video. You know what he was an expert on? This is who this reporter grabs for an article and calls him an expert. Maybe I'm the only one that cares about this. How's he an expert? He's a student. Well, why would that make him an expert? It turns out he likes to hurt people. In 2011, he pled guilty to assaulting his girlfriend. He was punished 3 years. He got 3 years probation and had to take counseling for anger management. He's an expert in domestic violence is what he's an expert in. Global News knows this about this guy. These are their experts. Don't ever believe the media when they bring on an expert, because they're not.
What's that?